Awesome. We're going to get right started. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I pray that everybody had a phenomenal day on today. Super excited for our family meeting that we have on today. Before we get started, we'll go into prayer and then we'll get right into our meeting on today. All right. Father God, we come to you today. We tell you thank you, Lord. Thank you for keeping us throughout this day, Lord. Thank you just for blessing and protecting us, Father. Father, we ask that you come inside of this meeting and that you bring forth a special message, Lord, a special message that we are able to use within our journeys, a special message of hope, just whatever message, Lord. You know our hearts, you know our desires, and you know our needs, Father. And so we just ask that you make sure that we're able to receive those things. Father, we ask that you put a special hand over Nutritionist Jackie for joining us on today. We tell you thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving her a heart that said yes to come inside and pour inside of our sisters, Lord. And so you know her needs and her heart's desires, Father. And so we just ask that you be a blessing unto her, a blessing to her family, Father, for doing this for us, Father. And so we love you so much. And in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. 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 All right. So the very first thing that we do, we're going to keep right online with what we do, and then I'm going to turn it over to Miss Jackie so that she can give us the information. But the very first thing that we do is we celebrate those that was able to shift the scale on this week. And so how that goes for those sisters that submitted it the week before, as well as on this week, we give them congratulations, we give them whoop whoops in a comment, and we really celebrate them because we know that the scale sometimes can be a tough thing to be able to master, and these sisters were able to do so. Whether if you lost zero point 0.2 pounds or 22 pounds, we celebrate you. And so going inside of the group, going into our post, going in order from number one all the way down on this week, let's give a big shout out to Miss Jackie Grant. Let's give a big shout out to Miss Michelle Hooks. Let's give a big shout out to Miss Natasha Jones, Miss Lagora Wolf, Miss Delora Bozeman, Miss Joyce Pulliam, Miss Andrea Gasson, Miss Tina Mack, Miss Felicia Bailey, Miss Ladrisha Ash, Miss Melissa Haney, Miss Rhonda England, Miss Terry Stevenson, Miss Linda Bowie, Miss Sharon Hughes, Miss Karina Smith, and Miss Lisa House. Whoop, 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 whoop. Awesome job on being able to shift the scale on this week, ladies. Awesome job. Also, one more shout out that we have for today. So we had a challenge that was taking place, and we wanted to see which Big Sisters team was rocking and putting up their posts and showing their exercise, showing their food intake, and just motivating and being inspiring. And so first off, we have our runner-ups, which was, let me make sure I don't get the hashtag wrong, which was the Big Sisters Tish teams with Fab Achievers, who for that month they made in their group 230 posts using the Fab Achievers hashtag. You ladies rock. You ladies rock. Now, we know that Miss Ali's team came in and scooped up for the win with a total of 312 posts. That's 312 posts showing workouts, showing food, showing encouragement, giving motivation to our group inside of this month. That's phenomenal. So big ups to Miss Karen Duhar, Miss Linda Bowie, Miss Carolyn Yancey, Miss Sherry P. Granderson, Miss Dolores Bozeman, Miss Jackie Grant, Miss Melissa Haney, Miss Rosie Johnson, Lisa Beckham, April Dinkins, Elise Mitchell, Yolanda Hood, and Geneva Thomas. Awesome job, sisters. Awesome job. You see Miss Ali, whoop. Love it. All right. With no further ado, I am not going to take over any more time inside of our meeting. I am super excited to bring up Miss Jackie Lopez. Miss Jackie Lopez, I was able to meet her. Hello. I was able to meet her at our mental health walk. Actually, it was a into arthritis walk. That's what we were going for, a walk. And she was there, and she had up, you guys, you saw me with the, I posted inside our group with the quinoa and so forth. This is the Miss Jackie who created that. And I asked her, I said, would you come inside of our group and speak to our sisters on some nutritional information? And without any hesitation, she said yes. And so we thank you so much, Miss Jackie, for joining us on today. You should be unmuted now.
Yes, I am. No problem. Could you, by any chance, be able to share my screen?
Let me see. I should be able to give you permission to share screen. I'm gonna make you a co-host, and then you should be able to share your screen. How about now? And I'm gonna stop sharing mine. Awesome.
So I feel like I haven't done one of these in forever. My name is Jackie. I am a registered dietitian. Today I kind of put a little more basic nutrition presentation in the beginning. Then I'll be talking about kind of macronutrient ratios, as well as Clarissa sent me over 3 questions. So I made 3 slides about them. Please let me know if I'm going too fast, just because I know I kind of want to get your questions in too. If you guys have any questions that are more direct to what you feel like you need personally, I kind of want to get those in instead of just staying on such a broad topic. So to start off, let's see how we do this. What are nutrients? I know a lot of us know that it helps us keep going through our daily lives. It regulates our body functions. It helps repair our tissues, especially if we're working out. We want to repair those tissues so that we can keep on and keep staying motivated. It promotes growth, but also gives us energy. Food gives us energy. So what I really want to be talking about today is more what food gives to us instead of just thinking about the calories that we consume. It's really important to know that we want to be able to stick to our macronutrients. It gives us the fuel to run our everyday lives. So this is what I'm really going to be focusing on. Oof, sorry about that. Is it not popping up? Okay, I think my little people disappeared. So on the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats is really what I'm going to try to be focusing on today, because those are our macronutrients. They're basically the powerhouse. There's what give us energy to keep on going. Our water, vitamins, and minerals help our body produce, help our body break down those fats, protein, minerals, help our body continue to stay glowing, help our bodies continue to producing new cells, as well as keeping all our bodily functions working correctly. But I'm really going to be sticking into the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, which are what we really kind of want to focus on. So calories equal energy. Of course, we get different energies from them. Our carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram. Our protein are 4 calories per gram. And then our fats are 9 calories per gram. So our fats give us a lot more calories per gram, as you can see here. Can someone tell me how many calories per gram are there in water, vitamins, and minerals? So I don't know if I can see my little thing here, but I'll kind of just answer
We can
it.
do the
So
hand raise gesture, ladies, or you ladies can type in the comments, either or, if you know the answer.
yeah, I think someone's here.
Awesome.
0. There we go. So our water, vitamins, and minerals give us 0 calories, but they're also really important because they regulate our whole body. So our macronutrients give us energy. The other 3 regulate our bodies. So now I'm going to get a little bit nitty gritty. Like I said, carbs are a primary source of energy. So our body wants to take carbs before it takes fats. Fats is our second source of energy. So we have 2 different ones. We have our complex, we have our simple. Our simple ones are the ones we enjoy eating, but we should kind of try to stay away from. I'm really big on moderation. I'm not really big on restricting anything in our diets, but you have to know what's better for you to eat, in the sense what gives us more minerals, vitamins, and fiber, and what just gives us carbohydrates. You really get nothing else out of it but just energy. So it's our more processed foods. We also digest it quicker. So what does that mean? It really has no fiber in it. So we get hungrier quicker. That's why if we eat something that's a simple carb, we tend to continue munching throughout the day because our body processes it so quickly that it doesn't help keep our stomachs full. They're lower in fiber, which helps us keep fuller. They're lower in our natural vitamins, such as iron, B vitamins, and our antioxidants. And lastly, they're lower our performance. So what simple carbs end up doing, since there's no fiber to slow down that digestion, it raises our blood sugar. So it ends up spiking it. And then that's why we feel that downfall. So if you've ever eaten too much simple carbs, which everyone has, you remember how you get that big spike of energy and then you feel down, you feel slow, you just kind of want to sit on the couch, not do much. That's what our simple carbs kind of do to us. Unlike our complex carbs, they tend to be less processed. Since they are high in dietary fibers, they slow down our digestion. So they help us keep fuller longer. So what I like to kind of tell people here, a cup of white rice, a cup of brown rice, same calories, but which one gives you the better benefit? Which one helps you keep fuller longer? And which one gives you those vitamin E, B, and antioxidants? So really, it's the source of food you're putting into you instead of the calories when you're looking at carbs, because a lot of them tend to be the same type of calories. So a whole grain pasta and regular pasta, same calories, you're whole grain, you're just getting more benefit from it. They're higher in iron, like I said, vitamin B, and antioxidants, and they help boost your performance. So we're going to continue on here a little bit more. Most of your high carbohydrate food should also be high in fiber. So we want fiber. We want fiber in our diet. It's a complex carbohydrate from plants that helps your body with digestion, though your body doesn't actually digest it. Here, it's just a little macronutrient thing. 45 to 65% of a person's daily calories should come from carbs, but we'll talk more about that later. On the bottom here, you'll see the difference between what soluble and insoluble fiber does for you. Here, it's in particular for diabetes management, but I kind of like how you can tell what it does and what it doesn't. It attracts water and turns it into gel. It slows digestion and it helps lower your blood sugar. On the other hand, insoluble kind of speeds food through your digestive tract, adds bulk to prevent constipation, and is made from a non-soluble cellulose. So, and then in the middle here, you'll see that it helps really control your blood sugar. So what I said, fiber is also really important from preventing you from those sugar hikes. Even if you're not diabetic, it's still something you want because you don't want your energy to spike and drop. And it helps control your sugar levels just in general. I end up talking too much. Okay, fats. So what are fats? Fats are also a source of energy. Now with the keto diet and other diets in there really putting an emphasis on fats, I like to think of it as, although fats give us energy, we still want them from healthy fats. So I know many people out there, when they think of keto, they just think anything that's a fat is going to help me get there. Really, you want to take the approach of you still want your healthy fats, which I'll talk on the next slide a little bit about. So also, it forms cells, it maintains our body temperature, and it protects our nerves. So fats just don't only give us energy, they have other benefits to them as well. That's why if you're someone that's pro or against it, it's an important thing to have in your diet. Cholesterol, which is a waxy fat-like substance, is also only found in animal products. So your body also does need cholesterol. It needs it to make cell membranes and nerves tissues, but your body makes all that it needs. It's found in animal tissues, but our body makes it. That's why many individuals out there are fine going without animal products. So your dairy, your meats, and so forth, you can still make cholesterol on its own. Your body makes it. A diet high in cholesterol does put you at risk for heart disease. Because our body makes so much of it and we have enough of it, you don't really need more in your diet. So here again, the little macronutrients thing, which we'll talk about later, 20 to 35% of a person's daily calories should come from fat. So that's why I like to emphasize the macronutrients so much. It's the amount of grams that you're putting in your bodies of that food, not just telling yourself, I'm going to eat a low calorie diet. So can anyone tell me what are some healthy fats before I kind of get to this next slide? There we go. Avocado. I feel like avocado is always the easiest and the safest one to kind of get to, because we all know it's kind of been everywhere that it's a good fat to eat, which I agree with. Olive oil, yes, olive oil too, as well as your, which we'll see here, your nuts. I see that too there. So here we're going to talk about saturated and unsaturated. Unsaturated fats, which are good fats, which are called are good fats, but you still have to eat in moderation. They're vegetable oils or are olive oils. They're liquid at room temperature. So this is something I always like to give people a little idea about. A lot of people nowadays are also consuming coconut oil. It does have a lot of good benefits for you, but you have to remember, if you have coconut oil out at your house at room temperature, is it liquid or is it solid? Coconut oil is solid, so it's mainly a saturated fat because it isn't liquid at room temperature. And that's what I like to always emphasize people. Everything in moderation. And I know a lot of people kind of in my area of expertise have gone into thinking that it's an unsaturated fat. It is a saturated fat. Unsaturated fats also increase your good cholesterol. So you want that unsaturated fat. You want to be able to have that good LDL to HDL ratio, which is really important to keep your good cholesterol going, as well as your high density lipoproteins. HDL grabs the LDL, which is your bad, and escorts it to the liver, where it is broken down and eventually removed from the body. So your unsaturated fats helps remove your saturated fats from your body. So it helps grab it and remove it to your liver, where it is eventually removed from the body. So that's why it's so important to have that ratio and to eat unsaturated fats. Your saturated fats, on your other hand, are solid at room temperature, like I was talking about, your coconut oil, your meats, your butters, your dairy products. These increase your level of bad cholesterols. And what low density lipoproteins do is it clogs your arteries, and that's when you get to heart disease. So the more saturated fats you have, the more likely it is that it clogs your arteries, and the more likely it is that you fall under some form of heart disease, whether it be a heart attack and so forth. The good thing is with unsaturated fat, just because it clogs your arteries, if you eat good and healthy unsaturated fats, like I talked about, it's able to grab them from your arteries and take it to your liver. So that's a little thing there. Another little fun fact that I always like to tell people, we have 20 amino acids in our bodies. Our body makes 11 of them, but 9 of them our body does not make. So if you're someone that does eat animal protein, you're good, because most animal proteins contain all 9 of those essential amino acids that we need, as well as vegetarian options. So your beans and so forth do contain those essential amino acids, but do not contain them all. So you kind of have to find what essential amino acids they have and kind of pair those proteins together. So if you're someone that doesn't eat animal proteins, which, let's see, I think we talk about on the next slide, you must supply it. You must kind of pick and choose which of those vegetarian options there is, whether it be tofu and beans and putting it together and so forth, to make those 9 extra amino acids that you have, since only animal proteins contain all 9 of them. So protein also serves as a source of energy, But the most important benefit that I feel like it gives to you, it aids in growth and repair of body tissue. So if you're someone that's working out, that's why they tell you to have sufficient amount of protein. Or if you're someone that wants to build muscle, you always want to consume more protein. So when it comes to your macronutrient ratios, it will change up because you want to consume more protein so that your body can grow and repair those tissues so that you can grow your muscle. If you're eating too low of a protein intake, your body's not going to be able to continue growing that muscle that you want to grow. And remember, the more muscle you have on your body, the faster your metabolism goes. So you want that muscle on your body because it helps increase your metabolic rate and your metabolism. And that's all we want. I'll be talking about it in one of the next slides here, but speeding our metabolism up is very hard once we pass the age 20. And it's something that we want to continue to at least keep at pace with us so that we can continue living our healthiest lives and basically being able to manage our weight the way we want. So, like I said, here we go. Animal proteins contain the complete proteins, so they contain RR amino acids. Proteins from plants are considered incomplete proteins because they don't contain all of them, but they can be eaten in combination, like I stated, so that you can get all 9 of them. Lastly, to kind of go through here are vitamins. Like I said before, which someone stated as well, vitamins don't provide energy, so they're not providing us any extra calories. They assist with chemical reactions, like I said, and we have fat and water soluble. Fat solubles can be stored by the body, water solubles cannot. So water solubles, if your body has enough vitamin C and vitamin, here we go, B, if you're taking a supplement and you're spending money on a supplement, it's water soluble. You're just going to let it go and it's not going to do much for you. When it comes to your A, D, E, and K, those are vitamins you have to be careful about because you can, you can have too much of it and it can affect you. So you can consume too much of A, D, E, and K, and there are toxicity levels on those which can affect you. Your A, D, and E, and K, another fun fact, the only way that our body absorbs those is if we consume fats. So that's why another reason why fats are so important. They're fat soluble, so we need fat in our body and consume fat for these to be metabolized and be able to be used in our body. So like I said here, cannot be stored by the body. It goes into deeper detail, and the A, D, E, and K can. And as well as antioxidants are vitamins. So our antioxidants help protect healthy cells from damage caused by normal aging process, as well as certain types of cancers. So high antioxidant foods are really important for us out there, as well as high anti-inflammatory foods, especially if we're someone that's working. We want to help our body as quickly as possible decrease the inflammation we have. And then lastly, minerals, which provide a wide variety of functions in the body. They occur naturally in rocks and in soil. Some are calcium, which we need to make sure we get enough of, especially as we grow. The most 2 important phases of life where we need calcium is while we're infants, and as well as we get older because we start using body mass. So we need enough calcium to keep our bones strong. Others like sodium, most people get too much of, but we need to make sure we limit. So sodium is an important mineral in our bodies, but we tend to eat too much of it. So like I said, which is what I tell everyone, everything in moderation. We need our salt, but having too much of it can cause other problems such as hypertension and high blood pressure. So for minerals, we only need these in trace amounts. So our iron fluoride, our iodine, our copper, and our zinc, we only need in small amounts. Ones we need in larger quantities are calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, chlorine, and sulfur. So where do you get all these vitamins? From all your fruits and vegetables and proteins. Some carbohydrates will have added benefits in them, which would be added into the food, which is completely fine when it comes to those certain minerals and vitamins you need. but it's so important to try to get these from all your foods, and how you get them is by eating the rainbow. I know a lot of people say eat the rainbow. Eat the rainbow is true because every single color of the fruit gives you a different mineral, gives you a different vitamin, and works in your body in a different way. So you want to be able to eat those different colors, even your whites. So even, you always want a colorful plate, but you always want your whites in them too, because those are your vitamins and minerals that help fight cancer. So they're your cancer foods. So your cauliflower is one big one up there. That is your white food that you want to continue eating because it does give you those anti-cancerous benefits in them. And lastly, water. We need our water, especially if we're working out, especially if you're not, we need our water. Water does amazing things for us. I have many individuals that don't like water, and I try to convince them, try to add it in your diet any way possible, whether it be adding fruits in it, whether it be trying different things just to get to the amount of water you need. It also helps us not eat as much. Sometimes when individuals think they're hungry, it's not because they're hungry, it's just because they're dehydrated. So I always tell people, try to drink a little bit. You don't need a whole glass of water. Try to drink some water before you go to that food source if you've already eaten your meals in your day, because you might just be dehydrated. Water also helps. Basically, it helps us as a natural detox. I know there's a bunch of detoxes out there and so forth, but natural is a detox. Water is our natural detox. It helps eliminate waste from our body, and it carries it out of my body, and it helps us digest food. So water and fiber kind of put together are your best friends, because they help both clean out your gastrointestinal system and kind of let it all out. Here, right here, you'll see kind of a little picture that I like to put. Water helps our brain, our blood, our lungs, our skin, our bones, our muscles, our liver, and our kidney. How much water do you need to consume? The old fact is you divide your body weight by 2 is how much you have. But as well as you have to remember, if you're working out, you will need more water than just dividing it by 2. You will need to be able to, depending on how long you work out and how much you sweat, is how much more water you'll need to consume for your daily life. So lastly, most important thing everyone wants to hear, counting your macros. So the National Academy of Science and Engineering and Medicine does recommend kind of falling between these ratios. So 10 to 35% of your calories from protein, 45 to 65 from carbs, and 20 to 35 from fat. How do you count it? The macro equation, your total calories equals carbs plus protein plus fat. Like I said before, your grams, your carbs are 4 grams. Every gram is 4 grams calorie. Protein is 4, fat is 9 grams. And kind of here, I kind of put a little thing. So what I like to do with my clients, if someone's trying to lose weight or gain lean muscle, I usually will start them on a 40, 30, 30, just to see where their body is kind of at and see what happens. Everybody's different. Everybody's metabolism is different. Everybody's genetics are different. So when it comes to playing with these numbers, there is research that kind of falls under certain characteristics to kind of help us and help you guys figure out where we want you to be. But I have seen that everybody is different. So I usually start on a 40, 30, 30. And then from there, I start to play around with the numbers to see what ratio fits them best. Sometimes you might be lucky and the first ratio we pick kind of gets you to where you want to be, or it starts to get you there. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer just because of your metabolism, the way your genetics are, and just overall. You'll see here on the bottom, I kind of put a little bit of an easier representation. For higher carb, for bodybuilding, you want carbs, protein, and fat. You want 40 to 60 carbs, 25 to 35 protein, 15 to 25 carbs. For a moderate carb, for maintenance, you want between 30 to 40% of your carbs, 25 to 30% of fat, and 25 to 35% of protein. And then lastly, for lower carb, for fat loss, you want around 40 to 50% of protein, 30 to 40% of your fat, and 10 to 30% for carbs. So like I said, I usually start on a 40-30-30 just because I don't like to put someone on such a low carb diet, because I do believe carbs, if eaten in the right way, can be one of your best friends because they do give you that energy you need. But if it's something and the way your metabolism and your genetics kind of work, we kind of play around with those numbers. If we feel like it's not doing much for you, then I try to go to 25%. And then the ratio kind of changes for the other two. But remember what I like to tell people, it's not about the calories, it's about your macros. So kind of getting those macros in order, you'll start seeing a difference. Whether you want to use an app, kind of do it by yourself. It's really important to kind of count your macros to, once you get to that limit that kind of changing around your food isn't working for you anymore, once you've hit that kind of, what do you call it, that point where you're not losing any more weight or you're unable to, your macros come in really handy to kind of help you and guide you to that way. So what was I going to say? Sorry guys, I talk a lot. So that's a really important step to kind of take. I always tell people, you may be thinking you're eating your right macros, but you really have to make sure you're kind of counting them. I usually tell them to do it for a couple days, a couple weeks, but it's not necessarily anything you need to do long term. It's just really to get you to know the foods you're eating, making sure you count your oils, because a lot of people forget that oils are fats, which are carbs. So a tablespoon of, I believe, olive oil is around almost 120 calories. So just by that, you're adding 120 calories into your meal, which if you divide it by your 9, you'll see how much fat is in there. So you have to really remember to be able to count the things that you might not think might be affecting you, such as your fats, which people tend to undercalculate when doing their macros, as well as undercalculating their carbs by trying to stuff their little cups or something to make sure that they can get the most out of their bang. You kind of want to make sure you're filling it up, but not necessarily squeezing, you'd say, your brown rice down all the way and kind of getting most in there, because then you will be consuming more and you will be hurting yourself because you want to get to that goal and you're unable to. Next up, someone asked a question about metabolism. So this is a little fun fact I like to tell people. The latest research as of 2020, 2021, a little bit has changed. Before, it used to be they believed that after your age of 20, your metabolism would slow down by 10% each year. Now they're kind of saying that's not as accurate. So after the initial surge of your infancy, data shows that your metabolism does slow down about 3% each year until we hit 20, when it kind of levels off. In fact, like I said, recent research kind of says in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s is where we're kind of the most stable. Even during pregnancy, a woman's calories need were no more or less than expected given her added bulk as the baby was being conceived. Data suggests that metabolism does really start to decline at the age of 60. For women, it's more when the menopause hits. So it could be 50, could be middle 50s for some people, it could be 40s, some people it's 60. And it slows down gradually from there. Really only about 0.7% a year. But a person in their 90s needs 26% fewer calories each day than someone in midlife. So once you hit 60, they're saying it slows down gradually, a little bit less than 1% a year. And then once you hit 90, you really need 26% fewer calories each day than someone in their midlife. So what I like to tell people, that our metabolism is affected by a lot of things. It's affected by our muscle mass and our fat mass in our bodies. The more muscle you have, the quicker your metabolism will go. The more fat you have, the slower it will go. So as individuals tend to lose weight and gain more muscle, that's why our metabolism kind of speeds up. Once we hit that 20 though, we always feel like we're going kind of down a little. It's because most of the time we become more sedentary. Not everyone, not every individual, but we're not as active as we were in our younger 20s. And then once we kind of hit those 40 to 50s is when we kind of start slowing down gradually, at least for women. Next up, nutrition and menopause. So someone else also asked about menopause and how it lowers your metabolism. So menopause does change our metabolism. It reduces bone density and it increases your risk of heart disease. During the transition to menopause, the hormone estrogen declines, as we all know, disrupting our normal cycle patterns of estrogen and progesterone. So our estrogen is just going down, which causes many other things to us. It really, the main weight gain it really does cause is to our stomach area. The estrogen levels negatively impact the metabolism, which leads to weight gain. And these changes may also affect your cholesterol levels, which then puts you at risk for heart disease, and how our body digests carbs. So on average, statistically, women will gain 5 to 8% of their baseline weight body during menopause at this time. So if you're someone that's 100 pounds, 5% of that, 105 pounds. If you're someone that's 200, 5% of that, someone that's 10 pounds. So really statistically, you're supposed to gain 5 to 8 pounds. And that's because our metabolism is changing, our estrogen is declining, and our body's just really trying to keep up with all its functions. And really our metabolism does shoot down. So that's why I kind of say it depends when menopause hits, that the other slide is kind of true. So depending on when it hits in your daily life is when your metabolism does get impacted, because your body is going through stress. So those heat flashes you have at night, the feelings when you don't feel good, your body's being put on stress. So it's wanting to keep all these extra calories in our bodies to help us fight anything. It doesn't know what's really going on, and it doesn't want to let go of that weight. And even sometimes it does add weight, just because even during menopause, we tend to be more stagnant. We don't let to work out as much, but also not only our estrogen, our other hormones in our body are not stabilized. So our body is just in a flight or fight mode, and it wants to keep as much extra calories that it can on it. And my favorite question that people kind of like to ask is, my pen and I'll look at the questions later, is when to eat. So when to eat is a very tricky thing. There's many different statistics out there. There's many different research out there about when to eat. The ideal time to eat dinner is to align with your circadian rhythm. Allow your body time to adequately digest food. So I like to tell people usually 2 to 3 hours before bedtime is when you should stop eating. But that doesn't mean, which I like to really point out, is if you got home late and you haven't eaten dinner and you're gonna fall asleep in an hour or an hour and a half, doesn't mean I don't want you to eat dinner. I prefer you consuming something than not consuming anything, because then you're not putting an adequate amount of calories in your body, which your body needs. In general, scheduling what and when you eat will help you maintain a balanced diet and create more stable energy source. So eating enough throughout the day helps not that blood sugar kind of stay balanced. So it gives you a stable energy throughout the day instead of those spikes that you'll get, as well as it'll help your metabolism be engaged at optimal levels all day long. So remember, if you decide not to eat, let's say you ate lunch at 2, you got busy, you got home late, you didn't eat anything, your metabolism hasn't been working that whole time. You are putting your body again into that fight or flight mode because it doesn't know if you've eaten, but that's only when you don't eat enough calories. So a lot of people in this, the when to eat timing really came about when intermittent fasting came out. Intermittent fasting is something that I like when it comes to giving you that time of day to kind of stop eating. It's not that it's restricting your eating, it's just making you stop at a certain time. And what people have a lot of difficulty with is after dinner, individuals tend to snack a lot. You'll get a bag of chips, you'll get some popcorn, you'll get something, and you'll sit in front of the TV and eat. And that's really what's hurting you. It's not necessarily because you ate that late, it's because you already ate dinner and then you continue consuming food after. So yes, when you eat, I really do recommend 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. But if you haven't eaten and you're gonna sleep and you haven't eaten dinner, I recommend eating something maybe lower in carbohydrates, your proteins, your vegetable sources, maybe some good carbs, which are your high fiber carbs, and having that meal instead of just going to sleep on an empty stomach because you will wake up hungrier and you will wake up wanting to eat stuff that may not be as balanced or as healthy, just because you let your body go into that starvation mode, which is what we don't kind of want to happen. So this is kind of a two-ringed question. Yes, I do recommend you try not to eat too late at night, but if you haven't eaten, I recommend you eat. But if you can, I always recommend at least 2 hours, just because you need your body to kind of process that food. Remember, our body takes at least 4 hours to process our food, depending on what we eat. Especially if we eat animal protein, it does take our body to process it a little more. Our red meats will take our body to process more than 4 hours. Hence why I like to tell people to keep their heavy meals just for lunch, so that you continue moving, you continue being active, and you let your body digest that food properly. So I did talk a lot. I tried to go as fast as I can. Are there any questions that I could answer out there?
So much great information. I took me some good notes. Sisters, I know you ladies have questions. While we have Miss Jackie here, you can do the hand raise gesture and you can, and I'll unmute you, or you can type the question in the comments there. And so,
As well
yes,
as
a lot
somebody
of great information.
wants a private question, you can always message it to Clarissa. She can send it to me after, and I can kind of answer them, send them back to her, and then you guys can kind of have them too as well.
Yes, you can text it, not inbox me on Facebook. Text it to me, and then I'll be able to get it to her. Okay, we're going to Miss Kanisha. Go ahead, sis.
All right. My question, and sorry if you've already repeated it, I'm outside with the kids, but how many meals a day would you recommend? Like three small or meals with snacks in between?
I'm a big believer in breakfast, lunch, and dinner with minimum two, maximum two snacks in between, depending on how active you are in the day. Um, I know some individuals may prefer to stay away from breakfast. I'm a big breakfast person just because it's me, not necessarily anything research wise or something. But I like to say three small, moderate meals and two snacks, just so that you don't get into that starvation mode and you continue. And when you get home after, let's say, work, you go straight for the cabinet and continue eating, just because you let
Right.
yourself get hungry.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. And so, Miss Carolyn, you might have kind of asked it already. Miss Carolyn asks, is it okay to skip breakfast?
I believe every body is different. I believe there's some people that go well with it. I believe there's bodies that don't. Personally, on myself, I don't like to feel hunger. I'm very big on hunger cues. And if you're hungry and you want to wait till that 11 or 12, then you're letting your body get into that starvation mode. If you're someone that doesn't feel hungry and you want to eat your first meal at 11 or 12 or whatever your time is, then I say go for it, as long as you're drinking your water. Once you drink water, your metabolism kind of starts working for the day already. You want to get that water in before you get anything else in. Don't go for your coffee. Yeah, you can go for your tea. It's still mainly water, but really get that water in before you eat meals. Um, Next question is, what is
We
your take
have.
on intermittent fasting? It's in the chat. Um, for that, as long as you're doing it right, I'm not a big fan when you restrict too much. So I know there's different forms of intermittent fasting. The normal one is from 12 to 6. People can adjust it 11 to 5, 1 to 7. But I know individuals that have done it for only 4 hours a day, or there's other types of intermittent fasting where you skip a day of not eating. Um, if it's just for you to kind of help yourself schedule yourself to make sure you don't eat past this time, that's fine with me. But I don't want you to be on intermittent fasting and then only consume 900 calories. And just because you hit 6 o'clock, you stop eating and you don't get enough calories that your body needs, especially if you're someone that's exercising, especially if you're someone on the move, and especially if you haven't gotten your macro, at least a good ratio in. I don't mind intermittent fasting again. It's just make sure you're still consuming the calories you need to keep your body functioning properly.
Love it. All right. And so we have Tish that has a question. I'm going to unmute you, sis. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Um, I have hypothyroidism, and I had a hysterectomy, a total hysterectomy, probably 5 or 6 years ago. It's always been challenging for me to lose weight. I've done different diets and switched up. What type of diet would you recommend that could possibly help me be more successful on my weight loss journey? I have lost weight. I struggle with the maintenance phase and getting to I think my ideal goal weight.
So when it comes to hypo and hyperthyroidism, it's always tricky because it's not only about your foods, it's about keeping your medications on track as well as making sure all your numbers are good. Um, as they say, when it comes to fat intake, I always say hypothyroidism is the exception. You do kind of want to be on that low fat diet, as well as eating unprocessed food. So you want to make sure you're eating as much whole foods as possible, while also keeping on that low fat diet. And when you do eat fat, remember getting those good fats in. When it comes to other situations, sometimes that might not work. It's really seeing what triggers you and what doesn't trigger you. I've seen many people, different things triggering them and kind of preventing them from losing that weight, and kind of on a case for case basis. But I would say it's most recommended to always be on that low fat diet and eat as much unprocessed foods as possible.
Okay, thank you so much.
Love it. And so we had two more questions. One of them kind of go along with what you just said. Miss Stephanie said, I'm going through menopause and I don't have a thyroid and it seems to be extra hard. So more so of a comment, but I heard you speaking about the fats and so forth to help with
So
that.
yeah, and I know many individuals that are even very strict with their fat intake and their nutrition is perfect. And it's more going to end up being just the way your hormones are functioning in your body. And that's something, talking to your doctor and seeing what you could do to kind of help stabilize your hormones. Not necessarily food is a big factor, but unfortunately, we always have that little bit of factor that prevents us. And that's our genetics and our hormones that are in our body that unfortunately food can't help us produce those hormones as we'd like.
And then Miss Monique asks, does it matter if you drink decaf or caffeinated coffee?
So caffeine to an extent is good for you. Caffeine does wondrous things for your body. But also, if you're someone that already has it genetically in their family that does suffer from high blood pressure and hypertension, it is good to stay away from the caffeine just because that will raise your blood pressure. So drinking decaf, I would say, would always be the way to go. If it's just the taste that you want and like that coffee feeling, then I would say decaf. If you have no blood pressure problems, and caffeine is okay with me as long as you're not getting any coffee that has different sorts of syrups in them, creams. If you're going to Starbucks and really getting those high sugar coffees, then that's something I kind of want to stray away from. If you want to put a little bit of cream, depending it be oat milk, almond milk, or just 2% a little bit, and kind of really just watching yourself when it comes to your sugar in your coffee, then that's where I say the problem comes. It's more less the caffeine in the coffee, it's more what else you're putting in your coffee that kind of affects you. But I say no more than, they say 3 to 4. I kind of try to keep it between 2 to 3 cups of coffee. I would say 2 is a good medium if you're someone that does enjoy drinking coffee a lot.
Thank you. This one might be real broad. Amino acids, they're responsible for
They're the
doing.
building blocks. They're
Okay.
responsible for keeping our body functioning and building our muscles, keeping our muscles what they are. So that's why they're called our building blocks. They help build our muscles. So if you're someone that's working out, even let's say you're not lifting heavy weights, but you're doing cardio, you're still ripping your muscles. So you're still ripping those ligaments in your body, and you need that protein to build them, to repair them. So they help repair your muscles Even through the slightest things that we do daily, any exercise that we might be doing, we're always going to be kind of ripping those when we get to that moderate intensity type of exercise, whether it be weightlifting or whether it just be running on that treadmill, running outside, or doing some basic body weight workouts at home. They help rebuild our muscle in our body.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we let her go, ladies, is that all of the questions that we have here? I know we are at our time as well, and it was so much great information, so much great information. I took some notes. The ladies are saying thank you. A few other sisters beforehand said it was a lot of great information that we received on today, and so I'll give us an opportunity to unmute and say thank you if you ladies would like to. Go ahead, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
No Everybody have a good night.
Great
Good
job.
night.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much.
Y'all. Good night,
Bye.
y'all.
Give me
Good night.
the Arnita.
From here. So thank you all so much for coming to our meeting. Thank you, Miss Jackie. I love you all, and this is it for today. All right. Love you. Later. Bye bye. Good night.